ask me to repeat that. If you're wondering what these things on the top do, they direct the air in the instrument because they are chambered. It's not air blowing all the way through. They're kind of like a recorder, but kind of not. So there's two holes above the flute here where the chambers are, so this allows the air, when I blow in this, to go like this. And the sound always comes out of here. These things are called blocks, so we're called birds. This is a Mesoamerican flute. It's represented, I like to say, the people across the so-called border. This is a Toltec flute. And so normally these flutes are made out of clay, but a lot of flute makers make them out of wood. So this isn't, if you're a music aficionado, this is in C sharp, F sharp, and it's in 432nd hertz. If that doesn't mean anything, well, what the flute maker told me, it's keyed to your own. It's kind of woo-woo, but hey, it's all good. Because I'm in the woo-woo's good. Especially if it's good. One of the nicest things about these instruments is they also kind of call other animals. In the beginning, I guess, they theorized that these were a lot smaller and used for hunting. Because when you're out hunting for food for your people, for your tribe, your clan, you don't want to use the human voice. So they would have whistles, and they sounded more like birds. Somehow 1 and 2 holes in bone ended up going into several holes in the wood, and it became a musical instrument. There are different theories on how they came about. I have the oldest flute I have, I didn't bring with me, I found in an antique store of all things. It was an artifact, 100-year-old Plains Indian flute. Somebody from a private collection decided that they didn't want it anymore, so I had taken pictures of it and sent it off to the Smithsonian. And it said it was a little tag on it, it said Paiute, 1906. The style of flute indicated that it was more Lakota, and it's about 100 years old. It doesn't play, it's cracked and such, but if it could only talk, it would have lots to say, I'm sure. This flute right here in my hand doesn't have any finger holes. salafløyte. This is from Norway. And so the other word for them is willow flute or sallow flute. The story behind it is that the guy would go to the willow tree in the springtime and get a branch, and there was a way to strike the bark, pull the bark off, and you'd have a hollow tube, and you would notch it in a couple different places, and you'd have a whistle. And the problem with that is that it would play, but it would only last you for a few days and it would disintegrate. So in 1961, somebody figured out how to make them to be played year-round. So this one's made out of PVC and wrapped in birch bark. My connection, my possible connection with this was this is played throughout the Nordic countries. The Finnish, the Swedish, the Danish, the Norwegians. The Russians have something very similar too. It's an overtone flute. But when I did my DNA test some time ago, I found an article about the Berbers, who were my father's people. And there's a DNA match with the Berber and the Sami. And the Sami are the people who are the reindeer herders of the Nordic countries. Because I have the little teeny tiny 1% of Northern European that I have is going up towards Finland. 5 generations back, I have a great-grandfather from Siberia. And so, and it also is a known fact that the Viking trade routes were through the Mediterranean, and they used to trade with the Berbers. And so there's a really high possibility that I may have a cousin there somewhere. I got my cool tan from my grandma. So. Okay, so this is one of the bigger flutes I have, and it's in C minor. I know that because it's written on the bottom of the flute. So. This is made by a guy by the name of Butch Hall out of Texas. And this used to belong to a world flautist by the name of Peter Pippin, who's a Scandinavian. And Peter Pippin was good friends with a guy named Paul Ninehouse. Paul Ninehouse lives in Arlington. He's a pilot. He's a pilot. He works on airplanes. And he also makes beautiful flutes. He loves Native American culture. And so when Paul got in his airplane, he flew a Cessna 210 or a 310, same kind of airplane that's in Sky King. If I'm aging myself, remember Sky King? Mm-hmm. No? Black and white TV days? Yeah? Okay, cool. I used to watch 12 O'Clock High too, I loved it. So anyways, so he used to fly a Cessna out there, and Peter goes, hey, Paul, guess what? What? I got something for you. I'm giving you this flute. Paul goes, cool, man. So one day I met Paul, because I'm an airplane nut. And so I was up at Arlington Airport, we became friends, and Paul goes, hey Peter, guess what? I go, what, Paul? He says, I got something for you. And he gave me this flute. And it's crazy, it went from Peter to Paul to Peter. So I joke and I say, we kind of needed to throw Mary in there or something, but anyhow. I just barely blow enough air to make those sounds. So another one of my favorite flutes. This is made out of tiger maple. This was given to me by some folks at Stellar Flutes, and that's the first flute I bought many years ago on this journey. And the thing about this was a little bit different. It's a Native American style flute because the guys who made it weren't native, and that's what they called them by law. So my friends Thom Stewart and his daughter Lily are flute makers. And so they are of Swedish and Scottish heritage, because they also do their DNA. But they're great people. I love them dearly, and I always tell them, you guys saved my life when I first started playing these. So my grandfather plays flute. I said that earlier, and this would be the type of flute that he would have played. It's a grass reed. It's got 6 holes and a thumb hole in the bottom. It looks like bamboo, but it only grows in 2 places in the world, on the Nile in Egypt and also in France. And it's a hollow tube, and it's played all through the North African continent. The Persians play them, the Turkish play them. It's called the Nai. I will attempt to make a sound. Well, not doing very well, but anyways, it's really hard to play. Really, really hard to play. And I took a couple lessons from a guy who's of Scottish ancestry who plays this beautifully. He's a master at it. But so I have something that I'm going to cheat with. A Native American style flute in the Middle Eastern key. And it's a very haunting sound. And some people just don't know because they don't know. And they hear the sound, and I do the eye roll on it because they say, oh, yeah, snake charmer music. I'm like, no, that's stereotyping. No, I went to Morocco as a kid, at 7 years old. I went to visit my relatives, and I didn't see that. That's a whole tourist thing anyways. And so I went there because I'd never visited my cousins and my grandparents. I couldn't communicate with my grandparents because I didn't speak the same language, but I could talk to all my cousins in Morocco because they all spoke Spanish. So it's kind of cool because, as you know, Spain's right across the Mediterranean from them. So, but it's fascinating. It's very fascinating. So this has a very nice sound. So when I was born, back to my father's uncle and the German lady that he married, her name was Magda. And Magda was an opera singer and an actress in the 1930s, Germany. Very beautiful lady. I always known her as Grandma, and I called her Grandma when I was a little kid. She never had any of her own children. So when I was born, my parents gave her the honor of naming me. So of course, a very Germanic name, Peter. I don't have a middle name. My father's name is a little bit more elaborate, of course. His name was Mustafa Amar Ali. And And my mother's name is Juanita Buzzani. That sounds more Italian. I'm mainly Southern European. That's the thing about my DNA test. And Iberian Peninsula, Portugal, all through there. So it's an interesting history. My grandfather's name is Omar. I didn't know his name for like ever and ever and ever. So, but I have a brother named Michael and a sister named Jasmine, and then I have a second set of siblings, half siblings from my dad's second marriage. A brother named Omar, who is a firefighter with CAL FIRE. And my sister, her name is Shireen, and she helps run a family business and such. So, and of course there's me. I'm the flute guy up here in the Northwest. So, no, I do have a day job. If you're going to be a musician, you've got to have a day job. So here's a Maya flute. Guy here. There's a story about him. This is a loon. This is a Lakota style flute. And I had an exact copy of this instrument some time ago. I play at Northwest Folklife every year. And if you don't know about it, it's a big music festival, Memorial Day weekend in Seattle, the Seattle Center. Lots of different kinds of music, all different kinds of cultures. A lot of great Celtic music. I love Irish music, love it. And so I go there, but I play there too. I go to play these guys, and I also teach a class on how to play Native American flute. I have 30 flutes at my disposal, all in the same key. So they stick me in the instructing zone, the kids area and stuff. And I usually have kids and adults, and so I have a lot to carry with me. I don't need to bring this thing because they supply all that kind of stuff. But I do have a lot of stuff. So I always park at Mercer Street parking up on the 3rd or 4th level. And I've got flutes everywhere, and I got it strapped around me and whatnot. I'm putting things in my car and whatnot. This guy was in a bag around my shoulder, and I take them off and I set them down and everything. And I'm trying to get loaded up and get ready to go because I spent 2 days down at Folklife. So I get in my car and I'm like ready to go, and I get going, and I hit freeway to head back to Bellingham. Guess who I left on the roof of the car? A really hard lesson. So I had pictures of him, and I sent them off to the flute maker. I said, "Can you make me another one of these?" Here's the story why. Man, oh man. I also lost a camera that way too, so it wasn't the first time. But anyways, I'm a little more thoughtful when I unload my stuff. somebody in the audience who will know what this is, she knows, so I'll ask her to not say anything. Does anybody recognize this bird?
Raven.
That is correct. What does the raven have in his beak?
The sun.
That is correct. This is a carving, a Tlingit carving from a children's story, How a Raven Stole the Sun. It's a great story. You can look it up on the internet. I learned about it from my friend Gene Tagaman. He's Tlingit. He's a raven dancer, storyteller, musician, actor. He does suicide intervention when he goes up to Alaska as well. He's also from the Raven clan. So this guy here, that story inspired me to get this guy, and I play him a lot of different youth programs in schools and whatnot. I don't know the story word for word, but it's a great story, believe me. After I got through my cancer treatment, no, actually it was before that. Yeah, it was before I was diagnosed with cancer that year, was I got to play for the Dalai Lama. And many of you got to see him at the Seeds of Compassion tour. He was at the stadium, but he also did something at the Key Arena. It was called, it was on Children's Day. And the arena, Key Arena was packed. So Gene and myself and 8 other individuals got to be on stage, and we got to do our thing. I got to play my flute and do some storytelling and stuff. And we were pretty close to him. It was just a way cool experience. I called my mom and said, "Hey mom, I got to play for the Dalai Lama." And she's like, "Oh, that's nice." You know,
Oh my gosh.
She doesn't know. It's okay. But that was kind of cool. I got to, and because I got to play at Tulalip. And these were just fun things for me. Got to open for Pat Benatar, Leonard Skinner, Chicago, the Doobie Brothers. I can't remember that one country guy. He's on a show where they're judging people for their Blake. That guy, Blake Shelton.
Oh, that guy, huh?
That guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so I didn't know who he was. So this was a few years ago. And Billy Idol. And that was all fun. It was all fun stuff. And then with the the Stilly tribe, got to open for Buffy St. Marie. Most of you know who Buffy St. Marie is? Yeah, no, maybe. Buffy St. Marie is First Nations Cree. She's from Canada. She has been making music since the 60s. A lot of it's activism, and she still does it today. She's in her 70s. And she's been all over the world, and so she's signed one of my flutes for me and stuff. But so I got to do the really fun stuff too. But for me, the stuff I enjoy doing other than like this is playing for people in hospice and people that have Alzheimer's, because this is very calming for those kind of people. And being a cancer survivor, I attend now and then. I'll go to the where I was treated at Providence in Everett, and I'll go to the 3rd floor of the infusion center. And they know me there, and I'll get to go in there and I'll play for those people, and I'll say, "Look at me." I said, "I was here too, and I made it." And you got to give people hope. That's the one thing, because I'm really not a big fan of cancer and stuff. So, if you're curious at what kind of cancer I had testicular cancer. And that's usually a young man's cancer, like the 20s, 30s. I was 50 when I was diagnosed. And so, and I had to do the surgery. And so that's why you come with 2 parts. So away goes the bad stuff. And then I was told by an oncologist, well, you know, we found more in your lymph nodes, and here's what you can do. We can do more surgery, or do and chemo, or just chemo. And I said, no, you've already cut into me once. Let's just do the chemo. So I did 3 months of chemo, some harsh chemo. And of course I lost all my hair. I used to have a Fu Manchu, and I used to have hair down to here. And I have my ponytail. It's in storage. My friend Gene, this is the thing. It's a native thing, man. You don't get rid of your hair. He says, no, you don't give that away. You keep it. You'll know what to do with it someday. So this guy here is another more of a traditional Lakota flute. This is Little Dog. This is made by the flute maker out of Montana, who makes flutes for Carlos Nakai. If you don't know who Carlos Nakai is, he's an internationally known Native American flautist. I've met him before. He's Ute and Athabascan. And he told a story about his ancestry that he traced back to indigenous Japanese people coming across on a canoe somehow and landed in California. And this we're talking way, way, way back. And so also one of the things I knew about him, or got to know about him, was he too was a Vietnam veteran. And he was in the Navy. I didn't know that. And he talked about that time. He thought, yeah, it was honorable to do this. You know, Vietnam was not a very popular time. But he did it because his uncles were code talkers. That when he came home from Vietnam, it really opened his eyes up. It really was not a good thing to be in. And he still, to this day, has his uniform that was pelted with eggs. Obviously, if you remember those days, the vets weren't treated very well, sadly. So anyways, he talked about, in his philosophy, about how we should take better care of each other. And I agree with that. So, anyways, Carlos, wherever you are in the world, this is for you. Hence Little Dog there. And there's a little dog on top here. So, well, do I got time for maybe a couple more songs?
Yeah, take time.
We'll make time.
No, I'm just saying, you know.
Would you guys like to?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I know there's more speakers, and so I'll do a couple more songs. And if you're okay with that, yeah, because I did arrive here a little bit late. I don't really know what my official time was, because I was an hour late when I got to my gig in Grand Coulee Dam and stuff. I didn't think it was going to take this long to get there.
No,
so
you said 2 to 3.
2 to 3? Okay, yeah. No, it's fine. So I'll play a couple more songs for you and whatnot. So if you have any questions too, guys, feel free to ask.
Do you have any CDs?
I do have CDs.
Well, thank you very much.
I have CDs and I have business cards, and I'm on YouTube and I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram, and I'm all over the place. So holy smokes. Okay. Let me see here. Let me see. I'm gonna pull out a flute here that that's stashed away. This flute is I got from another individual I met in Sedona, Arizona. He's a Native American, flute maker. He's a Native American guy. I can't remember what tribe he is, but his name is David Wolfroe. And he is also a veteran of the Gulf War. And he suffers from PTSD. And this was his medicine. And he doesn't make flutes anymore because he's been a woodworker for a very long time, and he was told by his doctor, I mean, he has respirators and all that stuff. You're not supposed to breathe in the dust when you're working on cedar, especially cedar. Not good for your lungs. But he was told by his doctor, it's just not, no more. So when I caught wind of it, I said, hey, I got to have one of your flutes, man. So I got the last flute, and he wrote the last flute. 11/4/2015. And so he now makes medicine bags. And he's really good at it. He's quite a storyteller as well. This is made out of western red cedar. It's what he calls in a grandfather key in F sharp. He was taught by an elder. One more. And you probably wonder, well, gosh, it's great that he makes up his own music, but does he play anything you can like, I know that song. Well, I can play Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers, but I have to have the rest of the band to play that. That would be with J.P. Falcon Grady. And we'd have to do it in the key of A. Even though I don't read music, I know it has to be in that key. But I do know one little ditty. You might recognize it. Will be my version of it. It'll be kind of short. Oh, and one other thing. If you wondered who inspired me the most, it was Charles Littley from the Warm Springs Reservation. When I first heard him play on that fateful day that I went to the art show in Paulsbo when I was living there, when I was separated from my wife and adopted little girl, because I married, my second wife was Native American, and she had a beautiful little 3-year-old daughter that I adopted, and she became my daughter, and her real father wasn't in the picture. I didn't know why at the time, but I know now. And so I thought, you know, when you get married, you think it's forever and ever. You know, we like to think that that's the case. I've been married twice, and it's never been forever and ever, sadly. But a lot of issues came up in the marriage, unfortunately. I don't want to go into detail that just destroyed the marriage. And I didn't want to go through the divorce. I lost everything. If I'm going to worry about material and money, I lost it. And that's okay. You have to let those things go. But I found this, and this helped me quite a bit. And my ex-wife made it such a problem for me to have visitation with that little girl that I just gave up. I threw my hands up. I said, F this, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then she tried seeking me out when I had cancer. She never was able to find me, but then she came into my life when she was 12 or 13 through this organization called DSHS. And so I had her with me for a year. We got reacquainted. And a smart kid. I was very proud of her. She went to Burlington Edison High School for a year. And she did really well. And then I helped her find her real father and 4 siblings she never knew she had. And all because of Facebook. And so her father was this nice older gentleman who was German and English by heritage. I can't remember his name, but he's also a Vietnam vet. We talked and I got a good story, and I met the siblings. And then I lost my job and I got laid off, and I couldn't pay the rent. And I got addicted. I couldn't get any help. So my daughter went to go live with her half-sister in Monroe, and she finished high school at Monroe High School and finished with state honors.
Awesome.
And she went into college for a little bit, and she's in Colorado. I have a son from my first marriage too, a biological son. I haven't seen him since he was 4. He's in his mid-20s, and that's a whole other story. But I'm very proud of him, and I love him dearly, but he won't speak to me because of what his mother told him. He is English and Irish. See, we kind of like to mix it up. His mother's ancestor came here on the Mayflower. His mother's maiden name is Pridham. I think it's English, I'm not sure. But his mother was fair, green eyes, blonde hair, so he's got that cool tan, so you know he's looking good. So he's in LA somewhere. He works in a restaurant, and he was a model for a long time as well. He's a good-looking guy. Anyways, that's about that. This thing has been more than just a piece of wood with holes in it. It tells me stories. It's how I speak. It's how I cry. It's how I tell my story. And it's what I use to heal when I'm hurting inside. And I teach anybody how to play this instrument. It's not that hard. The only requirement you need is what you're doing now is breathing. So what an honor it is to take something like this wood, this thing that we rely on to breathe. It's a symbiotic relationship. When it breathes out, we breathe in, and when we breathe out, it breathes in. And we bring this back to life, this tree, you honor this tree with your breath. As Native people, we believe our breath is sacred. You know that, I lean back there, you know that. And so that's kind of a big deal. So here's that little song I said I'm going to play. I'm sorry, but I'm rather long-winded. That's the way we are. Excuse me. You'll catch me at a Highland game somewhere, listening to the pipes playing and whatnot. I do have CDs, but it's going to take me a while if you're interested. I have business cards as well, and I play in a lot of libraries, as I like to call them, libraries. I say that's easy for me to pronounce it that way. Because they have funds for cultural events and these kinds of things. And when I do my presentation, I also offer my audience how to learn how to play flute as well. And whatnot, and of course you know that I'm here every year for Eagle Festival, along with a lot of other folks. Thank you very much. And thank you for putting this on.
You're welcome.
Thank you.